Imagine a woman who, in the 9th century, used her own inheritance to create an institution that still exists today, more than 1,200 years later. A university recognized by UNESCO as the oldest continuously operating university in the world. This Muslim woman wasn't just a philanthropist, she was a visionary who revolutionized Islamic education for centuries to come. This is the extraordinary story of Fatima al-Fihri, the founder of al-Qarawiyyin University in Fez. Welcome back to the channel! Don't hesitate to subscribe and like the video if you enjoy it. Today, we're diving into the remarkable life of a 9th century Muslim woman who changed the history of global education. The 9th century was a fascinating period for Islamic civilization. The Islamic Golden Age was in full swing, stretching from Andalusia to the far reaches of Central Asia. Muslim scholars were at the forefront of knowledge in every field: mathematics, medicine, astronomy, philosophy, and theology. It was in this context of intellectual ferment that our story begins. In Morocco, the Idrisid dynasty had established Fez as a major center of learning and commerce. The city attracted merchants, artisans, and scholars from across the Islamic world, creating a cosmopolitan atmosphere conducive to the development of ideas. Our heroine, Fatima al-Fihri, was born around the year 800 in the prestigious city of Kairouan, Tunisia. Kairouan wasn't just any city. It was one of the most important spiritual and intellectual centers of the Maghreb, nicknamed the Fourth Holy City of Islam, after Mecca, Medina, and Jerusalem. Fatima came from a family of prosperous merchants. Her father, Muhammad al-Fihri, had built considerable wealth through trans-Saharan trade that connected North Africa to sub-Saharan Africa. This wealth wasn't just material. The al-Fihri family was also rich in culture and education, deeply valuing learning and knowledge. At the beginning of the 9th century, the al-Fihri family made a decision that would change the course of history. They emigrated from Kairouan to Fez, Morocco. This migration wasn't unusual. Many educated Tunisian families settled in Fez, attracted by the economic opportunities and favorable intellectual climate of this rapidly expanding city. Fatima al-Fihri had a sister, Mariam, with whom she maintained very close bonds. Together, they had received an exceptional education for the time, mastering not only religious sciences, but also mathematics, astronomy, and literature. Their father had ensured that his daughters received the best possible training, understanding the importance of education for Muslim women. When Muhammad al-Fihri died, he left a considerable inheritance to his two daughters. At that time, unlike many contemporary societies, Islam guaranteed women the right to inherit and manage their property autonomously. Fatima and Mariam thus found themselves with substantial wealth and, more importantly, the freedom to decide how to use it. The two sisters made a remarkable decision. They would devote their entire inheritance to religious and educational projects for the good of their community. Mariam decided to build the Al-Andalus Mosque, intended to serve the Andalusian immigrants of Fez. Fatima, meanwhile, had an even more ambitious vision. In 857, Fatima al-Fihri began construction of what would become the al-Qarawiyyin Mosque University. The very name of the institution paid homage to its origins. Qarawiyyin means the people of Kairouan, thus recalling the founder's hometown. But this project wasn't just the construction of an ordinary mosque. Fatima had a revolutionary vision: to create a space that would be both a place of worship and a center of higher learning. She personally supervised all the work, ensuring that every detail met the highest architectural standards of the time. Construction lasted 2 years, from 857 to 859. According to chronicles of the time, Fatima didn't miss a single prayer in the mosque under construction during this entire period, demonstrating her deep spiritual commitment to her project. She fasted regularly and prayed that her work would serve to elevate the level of education and spirituality in her community. What distinguished al-Qarawiyyin from other mosques of the time was Fatima's innovative approach to education. From the opening, she established a structured teaching system that went far beyond traditional theology courses. The university offered a complete curriculum including Quranic sciences, Islamic jurisprudence, fiqh, theology, aqidah, but also mathematics, astronomy, geography, medicine, chemistry, and philosophy. And this holistic approach to education was revolutionary. It recognized that religious knowledge and secular knowledge were complementary, not contradictory. Fatima intuitively understood something fundamental. To train complete scholars, they needed to be given access to all domains of human knowledge. She therefore established an exceptional library, acquiring rare manuscripts from throughout the Islamic world. This library quickly became one of the richest and most complete of its time. The pedagogical system at al-Qarawiyyin was remarkably sophisticated. Fatima established a system of grades and diplomas long before this practice spread to Europe. Students had to progress through different levels of study, each validated by rigorous examinations. The university adopted a teaching method based on debate and critical discussion. Professors encouraged students to question, analyze, and develop their own arguments. This open intellectual approach created a stimulating environment where ideas could develop and evolve. The institution quickly attracted scholars from throughout the Islamic world. Renowned professors came from Andalusia, Egypt, Iraq, and even Central Asia to teach at al-Qarawiyyin. This geographical and intellectual diversity made the university a true cultural melting pot where scholarly traditions from different regions mingled. Fatima al-Fihri wasn't content with having created an elite institution. She ensured that al-Qarawiyyin served the entire community. She established scholarships for disadvantaged students, allowing talented but resourceless young people to access higher education. The university also played an important social role. It served as a tribunal for resolving disputes, a council space for community affairs, and a distribution center for aid to the needy. Fatima had created much more than a university. She had established an institution that was at the heart of the social and intellectual life of Fez. Al-Qarawiyyin graduates became judges, teachers, doctors, administrators, and advisors throughout the Islamic world. They carried with them not only their knowledge, but also the innovative pedagogical approach they had learned, thus contributing to raising the educational level in other regions. Fatima al-Fihri was affectionately nicknamed al-Banin, the mother of boys, by her students. This nickname reflected the maternal relationship she maintained with the young people who came to study at her institution. She didn't just finance the university, she personally involved herself in her students' lives. She supervised their education, inquired about their well-being, and often helped them solve their personal problems. For many students who came from far away, Fatima was a maternal figure who brought them support and advice in a new environment. This personalized approach to education created lasting bonds between the institution and its students. Even after completing their studies, many returned to consult Fatima or contributed to the university's development. This loyalty created a network of alumni who supported the institution generation after generation. Al-Qarawiyyin University quickly became a major intellectual center that radiated far beyond Morocco's borders. Students came from all of North Africa, Andalusia, and even Europe to study there. Among the famous scholars who taught or studied there, we can mention the philosopher Ibn Rushd, Averroes, the geographer al-Idrisi, and the jurist al-Qurtubi. Al-Qarawiyyin's influence on medieval Europe was considerable. Many European scholars came there to study mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. They then brought this knowledge back to their countries of origin, thus contributing to the transmission of Islamic knowledge to Europe. The university system as we know it today owes much to the innovations introduced by Fatima al-Fihri. The idea of degrees, structured curricula, university libraries, and multidisciplinary teaching, all these features were already present at al-Qarawiyyin centuries before their adoption in Europe. When Fatima al-Fihri died in 880, she left behind an institution that had already changed the face of education. But her legacy didn't stop there. She had created a model that would inspire the founding of universities throughout the Islamic world. More importantly, she had demonstrated that a woman could be at the origin of major social and intellectual changes. In a society where opportunities for women were limited, she had found a way to exercise considerable and lasting influence. Al-Qarawiyyin continues to operate today, more than 1,200 years after its founding. It has survived dynastic changes, periods of decline and renaissance, colonizations and independences. This exceptional continuity testifies to the solidity of the foundations laid by Fatima al-Fihri. Today, Al-Qarawiyyin University is recognized by UNESCO and the Guinness Book of Records as the oldest continuously operating university in the world. This international recognition honors not only the institution, but also its remarkable founder. The Al-Qarawiyyin Library, which contains more than 4,000 rare manuscripts, is the subject of international restoration programs. Researchers from around the world come to study these treasures of knowledge, thus perpetuating Fatima's original educational mission. The architecture of the Mosque University, with its successive expansions over the centuries, tells the story of the evolution of Islamic architecture in the Maghreb. It remains a model of harmony between religious and educational function. Fatima al-Fihri's story resonates particularly in our era. It reminds us of the importance of education as a tool for social transformation. Her vision of complete education, combining religious and secular sciences, prefigures our contemporary debates on holistic education. Her example also shows us how private philanthropy can have lasting social impact. By investing her personal fortune in education, Fatima created a legacy that has endured for more than 12 centuries. Her success in a traditionally masculine field inspires contemporary women who struggle for their place in education, science, and technology. She proves that gender is not an obstacle to genius and innovation. Fatima al-Fihri embodied values that remain relevant today: commitment to education, long-term vision, social inclusion, and the conviction that knowledge can transform societies. Her pragmatic approach, using her personal wealth to create lasting public good, is a model for contemporary philanthropists. She also teaches us the importance of perseverance. Building a university in the 9th century, supervising its management for decades, and ensuring its sustainability required exceptional determination. Her success proves that with clear vision and total commitment, it's possible to achieve projects that durably transform society. Fatima al-Fihri's story reminds us that the Islamic Golden Age wasn't just the work of famous caliphs or renowned scholars. It was also the fruit of the commitment of ordinary women and men who, through their vision and dedication, created extraordinary institutions. In founding al-Qarawiyyin, Fatima didn't just create a university. She opened a path to knowledge that continues to illuminate the world more than 1,000 years later. Her legacy reminds us that education is the noblest of causes, and that investment in knowledge is the most lasting legacy one can leave to humanity. Today, when we enter any university, when we borrow a book from a university library, or when we follow a structured curriculum toward a degree, we walk in the footsteps of this remarkable woman who, 12 centuries ago, imagined and created the model of modern higher education. What lesson from Fatima al-Fihri's story inspired you the most? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video if you learned something new today. Subscribe to the channel to discover more stories about remarkable Islamic figures. See you soon, and never forget that knowledge is the light that guides humanity.